From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. If you have any questions you'd like to ask or advice you'd like to give, come on over to podtherapy.net and join the conversation. Tonight, on the season finale of Pod Therapy, the other housewives have turned their backs on Nick, but will it mean the end of their friendship? And Jim's life gets turned upside down when he finds out he's pregnant, but who is the real father? All this and more on the season finale of Pod Therapy. And now, broadcasting from Level 9 Studios, that guy is Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Nick Tangeman. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
I don't know who the father was, Nick. It was a dark room and there were lots of hands.
Could be anybody.
We did it! Season 1, man! Yeah. This is it, and we're back where it all started. We're back at Level 9. We got Scott in the house. It's so exciting. And, man, I never thought we would have made it a year. Here we are.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, well, I figured we'd make it a year.
You thought we'd go?
I didn't think we'd have listeners.
No. Yeah.
Because you can have a podcast forever.
Yeah, that's right. There's plenty of
listeners.
podcasts that are just, we'll plug it away.
Right.
But I remember when we first started, and this is fun to kind of reminisce and think about. But before we do, we should probably introduce the third person in the room. We have another person in the room. Hi, young lady. Who are you?
My name's Maddie.
Oh, hi, Maddie.
I am
That's my little sister.
sibling of Jim.
Yes, professional sibling.
Which we're all sorry for.
That's what your
Thank
business
you.
cards
Thank
say,
you.
right? They say Madison Jobin, in parentheses, sibling of Jim.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
that's what I got you for Christmas.
You would. You
I
would
hope
do
that's
that.
what you wanted. That's what I was going to get you. For years, I've wanted to get her an oil painting of me, just to hang over her fireplace. Like every year, I want to do it. And
Just-
it's not worth it. It's so much money.
In a robe with a little...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
down
exactly what you're thinking.
A deep V.
Yes, with
Yeah, right.
chest hair that I don't have, but
Yeah.
that's painted in. Like exactly what you're imagining. I have thought every year about getting that.
You know, a typical sibling gift.
Yeah, I think so. So,
Yeah.
welcome, Madison.
Thanks.
And Maddie's from Nashville, Tennessee, where the music comes from and the sweet, sweet barbecue comes from. Hey, do you know if there's a barbecue place called Nick and Jim's? Have you heard about it?
Yeah.
It's a thing?
Jim and Nick's. Mm-hmm.
Jim and Nick's barbecue?
Really?
Yeah, that's
Damn,
funny. I
that's
never
cool.
thought about that.
Oh,
That's real.
It is real.
Okay.
Somebody
It's a
told us
chain.
that once.
Field trip.
Field trip, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you need to send us like a bucket of that. I don't know if it'd be safe to eat.
It's dry. It's dry and not funny. I
So
don't
is
know.
our show. Yeah.
It's a perfect fit.
It's dry, not funny, barely tolerable. Nice, Maddie. Nice.
sit well on the
This is
palate.
going to go really well. This is going to go really well. I'm excited to have you. So Maddie's with us because she's visiting my family for Christmas, and so she's going to be chiming in on the show. And you're 100% part of the dialogue, so don't feel like you have to sit there and time out or anything like that.
Thanks.
This isn't like when we were kids. When we all told you, don't speak.
Too soon.
Jimmy's
Too soon.
talking. You don't talk. And
Also,
also,
I'm sorry, that has not changed.
that's not.
That's still the same.
I remember.
I feel like Maddie and I are going to bond a lot
Oh,
over
yes.
this experience.
Let's please just
Just
talk
commiserate.
crap on
Constantly.
him.
Was he like this as a
We'll
kid?
join you.
Yeah, he was like that as a kid too, so it'll be fun. So, Maddie, feel free to call me Dr. Jobin during our show today.
Feel free.
As I also request you to call me at home.
Right. Right. Thanks for making that an option.
But you know what? I'm gonna come to Jim's defense here. If I had those student loans,
Yeah.
I'd be paying. I'd
That's
be telling
making
everybody, call me Doctor.
It's funny because my daughter, she's 3, and I want to show you this live, Maddie, whenever we're back home.
Okay.
But like, she'll go, "Hey, Daddy," or something like that, or James will go, "Hey, Daddy," and I do this thing where like, "Don't you, hey, Daddy, me?" And like, I just say that as a joke because I don't care, whatever. But for some reason, I did that to her the other day, and I'm like, "Don't you, hey, Daddy, me?" She goes, "Sorry, Dr. Daddy." I was like, who told you to do that? I thought it was hilarious. So I'm hoping she does it live at Christmas time. That'd be awesome. But Nick, does your sister Carrie have any nicknames for you, or does she just call you Nick?
No, she doesn't have any nicknames for me. Not that I can think of.
Does
No.
everybody in your family just call you Nick?
Yeah.
I'm sure your mom calls you other things.
No.
They
No.
just- they call you-
If they call me at all.
They go, Nick
Yeah.
Tangeman? Yeah, Mom.
Yeah, we're on a whole name.
Lunch is ready.
Whole name.
Yeah, on your Christmas
everybody.
gifts, is that
Nick Tangeman.
Nick Tangeman from Mom Tangeman.
Yeah.
Best wishes.
We're very formal at the Tangeman house.
Formal family.
No nicknames.
No nicknames.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. We do. So I've just always called you Maddie.
Yeah.
I guess that's not there.
Right.
But it's blowing my family's mind because my kids, Maddie calls me Bubba. So it's like a Southern thing.
I don't call you that.
You don't? I thought
I've
you did.
never said Bubba in my life.
That's not true.
Well, okay, when I was
I
really
definitely
little.
know that's not true.
No, when I was like 4, I started calling him Bubby.
Yeah.
And now, as an adult, it's Bub.
Yeah, because you've classed it up, because now we're grown-ups.
I'm an adult. Yeah,
Bubby,
I'm grown.
Yeah,
Bubby.
but it freaks out my kids because my daughter calls her brother Bubby or Bubba, and Bub sometimes too. And so now Maddie's around, she's calling, like she's saying Bub, and like James and I are both turning our heads, and my daughter's like, "What? Who are you even talking to?" And like, so we had to explain to her that I'm her older brother.
So she calls you Bubby. I'm going to go ahead and change the outro here. I need to update
He's
this.
editing it live. Yeah. So, no, but I don't have any nicknames for you. But feel free to call me Bub or Dr. Bub.
On here?
If that's what you need to do. Yeah, you do it. Yeah.
I'm not going to embarrass you?
Oh, I don't care.
In front of your
You
friend?
go nuts.
Do you
that's
think
what
he
you're here for.
embarrasses easy?
I hung in
Embarrasses
there quite a
himself
bit.
most of the time.
Oh, no, Maddie has the dark secrets. So,
Oh, yeah. Turn my mic up.
yeah. I'm reaching for her cord right now. Like, this is my safety line. I need to hold this just in case it gets real. But thank you so much for coming all the way up from Nashville.
Thanks for
excited to
having
have
me.
us, or have you. We're excited to have us on the show as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have you. So, quick rundown of what we're going to do today, because it's our special season finale. Got some different agenda items today.
If you've tuned in because you like our regular show, that's fine. We'll see you next week.
Next week.
Today's going to be a little bit different. We got some gift exchange, although I only see one gift here, the one I brought.
Yep, I've got one for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. And we've got that. We've got we had something that we were kind of talking about that we really wanted to do at some point, which was talk about our favorite psychology study.
Yeah, we just wanted to nerd the hell out. You know, like we talk about studies that are recent, but we often reference studies from the past that were like pivotal key studies.
Yeah.
And so that was something we talked about putting on the season finale, was finally getting to just nerd bomb and just talk about real studies. So we're going to do psychology studies show and tell. That's going to be fun. We're going to do our Christmas gift exchange. We're going to do a stroll down memory lane, talk about the highlights of our first year, big memory moments that we've lived through. And then we have personal questions from our fans. We actually have quite a few of them. And our guest host today, Maddie, will help us with that. She'll be the voice of the fan club and asking questions. So we actually have real questions for us, not like advice questions. And then we're going to play a special game. We're going to play the Newlywed Game, Nick and Jim version, which I'm super excited. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I am going to destroy you. Like going over those questions. So? Oh, easily. Like as I was going through those questions, like I know the answer to this. I know all of your answers.
You think you know me better than I know you?
100%.
Huh.
I will be impressed if you even get half of the points that I get.
Okay.
Half.
Fine.
I will be absolutely stunned.
Talking smack already.
I guess.
I stalked Nick for years.
We should.
I know everything
wholeheartedly
about
believe
him.
you.
We should.
I know his blood type. A positive.
No, it's not.
Then why the hell did you post awesome positive on Twitter?
Because that's a joke.
Yeah,
Awesome
that's funny.
positive.
I thought it was
It's
A.
funny. No.
Oh.
Because it's funny.
I'm O positive.
Oh. Is that
We're
the
O
special-
negative.
We are?
Yep.
We both are?
I'm pretty
How do you
sure.
know what mine is?
Because when I was in elementary school, I did some sort of kit, and we took your blood type. It was really hard to get
God,
his
I'm
blood
really
out.
glad
It's like
you
all
know that.
clogged.
Yeah.
Mostly like cheeseburger grease. It was weird.
yeah.
But we did eventually get the blood out, and we found out it was O negative.
Yeah. We had to use one of those cuffs. It was like milking a cow. It was really weird. So I'm O negative? Is that a good thing to be?
Mom's O negative. Yeah, I mean, it's good for other people. It's really bad for us because we're the universal
We're the
donor.
universal donor.
But we can only receive O.
Oh, crap. That's the one I don't want to be.
Right.
Is AB the one where you can get anything?
Well, yeah.
I
Something
think one of them's
that.
like the universal receiver.
Yeah.
That's the
Right.
one you want to be.
Right.
I think it's AB.
You're O positive?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
we're both
he's in the same.
O's.
Oh,
That's cool.
So if anything happens to you,
Blood
go to
twinsies.
Nick.
Wait, can he donate to me?
Yeah.
Can I donate to him? I'll make you a deal.
Okay.
I want to be the first call.
All right.
Jim, I got a paper. I'm on my way. Just hold on, man.
I can't imagine what it'd be like. I
Turkey
wonder if that would
baster
change.
full of juice,
I wonder if
all
that
for
would
you,
change
baby.
my personality. Getting
If
if I got
my
your
powers,
blood, all of
yeah.
a sudden I'm interrupting people and talking over their punchlines for their jokes.
You mean rescuing them from their deadpan? Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so now we know what our blood types are. But okay, so we're off to a terrible start for the Newlywed Game.
All right.
I didn't know what your blood type was, but now I do. So
Cool.
But we have a huge show today. It's going to be an extended show, a little bit longer than a normal session, so we got a lot of fun times ahead. But Mr. Tangeman, as pilot of the show, take us away. Where are we going first?
Well, I'm going to grab your script because I didn't actually update mine.
That's why I print extras. That's why there's always extras.
All right. Well, we're going to talk Stroll Down Memory Lane, highlights of Pod Therapy's first season.
Oh my God, what a year!
So, what were your highlights?
So,
I honestly
started the show.
I mean, my memory is terrible, but
Here,
go on.
you can keep that script.
Oh,
so,
right.
we started the show. I remember. So, okay, first thing we should probably note: I found the pilot episode.
Yeah, and I don't know why you posted that, because that is not going to see the light of day.
People started bidding on it.
I don't care. This is the hill I'm going to die on. I'm willing to die on this. And Laura has my back.
You guys have already got a group consensus. Laura's the only person who's ever heard it.
She is.
And it's terrible.
It's bad.
And we had a different show name. We don't even say Welcome to Pod Therapy.
Right. Well, because we actually changed the name of the show as we were on our way to record the first session.
Yep. We were literally turning into Level 9 Studios, and we were looking at the script. So in the very first episode, in the pilot, which nobody apparently will ever hear, I think I could talk you into this. If we did like a fundraiser.
No, you can't. And here's the reason why.
If people
I thought
raise like
about this.
$100 for charity, would you not?
This is
Scrooge. You wouldn't do it.
Oh, yes, 100,000? Sure.
No, I said $100. 100,000? Who do you think we are, man? We ain't Joe Rogan.
No. And that's my point. Because if Joe Rogan came out and he's like, hey, I found our first pilot episode, he can play that.
Yeah.
And even if it's terrible, people would be like, yeah, whatever. It was his first one.
He's got lots of good ones.
He's got listeners that he can burn through, you know?
Yeah.
He's got like
Get through a
millions of
couple
people
thousand.
listen to that. We don't have that.
Right. We got to protect
You're
what we
talking
got.
about this like we're so far, like we're years into the game and we've got a huge base
It's horrible.
following.
I listened to it. It is abominable.
Yeah.
So we did not have an intro. So it literally just starts, and the first thing you hear is Nick going, "Are we recording?" And yes. Oh, hi everybody. And then you hear mouse clicks because he's on a computer.
Yeah.
It was at my desk at the rehab.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about like weed. I think it was like weed, like pregnant women were using weed or something like that. And so we got into that. It was terrible. So terrible. No rhythm. We didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
And plus we didn't have the intro. So on the way to the very first show, the true show, not the pilot, not the cruddy one that we made Laura listen to. And I thought that was going to end your relationship right there. I thought she'd hear that and be like, oh.
Yeah, well, she definitely worked very hard to talk us out of doing a podcast just in general.
In general, yes, right there. No, Laura is actually, you know what? That's so funny because as the first person who ever heard an episode, she was our only beta tester. And so she was giving us good feedback. She was like, hey, you're coming a little strong. Like, dial this back. Like, once you guys focus on shit you know about. Like, there was a lot of really good advice in the beginning. Really became part of, like, the recipe. But that very first episode, we were driving into Level 9. And I was reading the script, and the very first name of the show was not Pod Therapy. No. Pop Quiz. Do you remember the name of the show?
Sin City Shrinks.
We were going to be called Sin City Shrinks.
Because you already had the website.
Because I already had the website.
And you had because you had the website, you had the Twitter handle.
I already owned it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we were just going to do that.
Yep.
But I didn't like it. I didn't really care for it because shrink generally refers to psychiatrists, which we are not.
Right. And it's who uses that term anymore.
Right,
that was another thing.
Yeah. And so we ended up changing it on the way. We just decided.
Because of a random line that you had written in the script.
Yeah, because I wrote,
it's time for some pod therapy.
And then we're like, let's just call it pod therapy.
Yeah, and it's like, I was like, And like, as we were pulling in, I like got online and looked up if Pod Therapy was available.
Yeah.
And podtherapy.net was available. I was like, done. I took it right then.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll build the website tonight. Like, scratched it out. I remember just taking
We got the Twitter handle on the way over too.
Yes, we did. Yeah. And Pod Therapy wasn't available. And I'm still mad at that guy because he still has it. Like, they're still at Pod Therapy on Twitter. And it's some guy with like 2 followers and like he has no profile picture and he's still there. I messaged him. I was like, hey man, can I have this? Like, what's the deal? And never messaged me back. So there's a dead account. Can't get it. So,
well, I like PodTherapyGuys.
It did turn out pretty good, even though a lot of people actually think our show is called PodTherapyGuys.
Well, that's fine. Maybe it will be someday.
Maybe it will be. So
we're not married to anything.
No, we're not. Very first episode with Scott over at Level 9. And I actually posted a picture of that today. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
I dug up the original picture of us at the studio. And
Oh,
I
I did
posted
see
it on
that.
our Instagram.
Yeah.
And that was so fun. And so we had no idea what we were doing. We just ran through the script. God, man, it's so crazy. Because I remember when we first started this, we prepped for a couple of weeks getting ready for it. And we had basically come to this group decision like, okay, why are we doing this? Right. And I remember in the first episode, if you go back and listen to it, we actually introduce ourselves and we actually talk about why we're doing this and like the mission of the show and stuff. But it's so funny because you said, I never thought we'd have any listeners. We definitely never thought we'd have any listeners. We just created this so that if somebody ever needed it, they could like search and find something that was a little bit more approachable, a little bit more useful.
Right.
That was it. And like, it's amazing because now it's like, we really have done very well in the first year.
For the first year, yeah, I'd say so.
I think we've done a lot better than almost any other like group that just started a random podcast. There's like 1 million people out there that have started random podcasts. We have a very high functioning fan club. We have our own identity. Let's go over the highlights. Let's go over how this all happened. So wind back. I'm doing the Wayne's World. So here we are in January. We're recording with Scott over at Level 9. We had just found our theme song, which I was pretty proud of at the time. And we were just starting to figure out our rhythm. Do you remember in the beginning, one of the first like games that we started playing, trying to liven things up a little bit?
Was it the diagnosis one?
Yes. Which turned out to be cataclysmic.
Oh, is this the one where you ask questions? Like it's like 20 questions?
It was 20 questions.
You had 20 questions to guess a diagnosis that I had.
We thought it would be like a fun,
I thought that was fun.
Therapy game.
I thought it was a good time.
You know, it's funny because you're a psychology student, but like psychology students loved that game. And they were always like, this is great. And other people were like, hey, you're kind of trivializing a health issue. And I get the spirit in which it's done.
Yeah, that makes
but
sense.
Maybe that's not consistent with your show, which is like not trivializing people. You're like, that's a really good point.
Hadn't thought of that.
Maybe we shouldn't do that. And then we started assigning ringtones, like as a punishment. We started doing trivia and stuff like that. But man, we've had some really good episodes, a lot of fun. And then by complete random chance, Nick listens to this show that's actually really popular that for years he had been trying to get me to listen to. And I had like every once in a while dabbled in it, but never like knew about it. And that really was a turning point for us in that first year. I mean, we weren't very deep into the show by the time you wrote into the scoops, I don't think.
No, I think we weren't really. Maybe 10 episodes in or something like that.
No, it wasn't very deep.
Yeah.
But you came around, you're like, hey, man, there's this thing, Jock versus Nerd. It's like this trivia show, and, we should do a mental health edition. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, we'll give it a shot. And that was a game changer. I mean, that obviously, like, changed the whole setup that we had with them, too.
Yeah, definitely. That was very pivotal.
And they've helped us out a lot. Any of the questions from your Jock versus Nerd submission?
Yeah, I had... if I sat here and thought about it, I could probably come up with all
I remember there's one about Barry Bonds.
Yeah, there's Barry Bonds, and then had one... No, Daryl Strawberry.
Oh, is that who it was?
Yeah. Daryl Strawberry, and then a few other...
Yeah, and then there's one about the game show host of a Nickelodeon show.
Yeah.
Was it Mark Summers?
Mark Summers.
Yeah, and how he had a...
OCD.
It was OCD, yeah.
Yep.
So we wrote into them. They enjoyed it. It was fun. They realized, okay, there's therapists that are in town. Like, and Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social, they're very, very pro mental health. Like, to just, even though they're two comedians, they can joke about it. They're also really supportive of it. So they invited us on the show. It went really well. Like, we got along with them really, really well. We're all in Vegas. It was super easy. And then they had their huge live Scoop Fest and invited us to be on it. And by the time we got to Scoop Fest, we had like 30-something people that came out here for Scoop Fest that were listening to our show regularly.
Already listening to it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
So they came to us with sushi. We did sushi together. That was so crazy, man. That's a day I'll never forget. I think I'll be interested to hear what your favorite memory of this last year has been. For me, the biggest memory I have, like my top shelf, absolute top, parking my car at Goemon Sushi, seeing a crowd of people, 30-something adults, like standing in front of the sushi place, getting out of my car, walking toward it and not being sure. There's no way, I'm thinking, like, there's no way that must be like a bus of like tourism or something like that. And as I walk up, somebody notices me and they go, there he is. And they all start cheering. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, there's this many people that are here for this. This is awesome. And I'll never forget that day. And then getting to meet everybody one-on-one, and find out their stories. That was easily my favorite moment of this whole thing? What's your highlight from year one?
I don't remember who it was exactly, but I remember we actually got a response from somebody that we had, they had written in the show. We had given them advice or, kind of some feedback. And then they responded back and with kind of an update and said, hey, that was really helpful.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't really, we didn't bring it back up on the air because that's really, I think, all it really said. But I think that for me was very, that was impactful because that was like, oh, well, this is the whole purpose of why we're doing this. Right. And so to actually get some feedback, I think was really cool.
And then was huge.
And then doing the live show.
Yeah.
The live show was probably the highlight, I think.
That was pretty awesome because that was the first and only time we've ever gotten to sit with another person.
Right.
And like hear their story and ask follow-up questions.
Right.
Which is very natural for us. So it was a lot.
That felt way more natural than this feels.
Yeah, when we answer questions.
Yeah.
No, that was absolutely tremendous. So what a first year, man. I mean, but I'm glad you brought that up about the feedback. Like that made a huge difference for me. When we started hearing people say, hey, thank you. And it was real. Like they were like, no, really, like I heard what you guys said the other day about this issue. I resonated with it. You guys recommended going to therapy for this. I think I'm going to start.
And then I think also, I mean, we also got a few letters from people writing in saying stuff like, I've never really told anybody about this, but I have this disorder, or I was diagnosed with this, or here's some of the things I'm struggling with. And feel free to say this on the air. Like that to me, I think was really important because that's somebody finally, being willing to verbalize and talk about something that they've been struggling with.
Yes.
Which again, like that goes back to our whole mission. That's why we wanted to do this, is we wanted to have an open dialogue. We wanted people to feel comfortable talking about their mental health and just be like, hey, look, this is fine. This is okay to talk about.
I remember one of the first ones we got that really like caught me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like they're revealing. Like this is not just the general question of like, how do I get my boyfriend to like me? Like it was for real.
Right.
And it was one about schizophrenia.
Yeah.
I still remember the writer, but I won't repeat them just, because I don't have their second permission to bring it up again, but this writer is a fan of the show, listens, interacts with us online all the time, told all about her schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Everything that has been a part of it, hallucinations, all of it. And then how she lives with it and how she's overcoming it one day at a time.
Yep.
And it didn't even have a question.
Right.
And I was just like, wow. Like
that's one I'll remember too. Yep.
Because I think a lot of listeners were like, wait, one of us has schizophrenia? It's like a horror word. It's like the thing that scary movies are made of. It's like, no, man, she's just a regular listener of the show. Like mother, she works out there with you guys, the same old person.
Right.
And then
this isn't something to be afraid of. It's not something that you should run from.
So real. So, that was an amazing moment. That's definitely interacting with live listeners and getting real feedback, real letters has made a huge difference. Hearing people talk about going to therapy, getting help for things has been, I think, just tremendous because that was the purpose of the show. Yeah. We put this thing together. We said, if there is one person who listens to the show over the course of all that we do and was on a path towards self-destruction, who decides, you know what, I'll go get help. It was worth it.
Yeah.
Whatever we put into it was worth it. Whatever it cost us was worth it. The time was worth it. Let's do it. And, by now, I think after year one, I can say that. I can say, I don't know how these people found any value in us. That maybe that says more about their mental health than anything else. That you're listening to Pod Therapy. But I'm so grateful for that. Like, that's such a tremendous thing. Year one in the books, my man.
Yeah, this was a good decision.
It has been. Yeah, we haven't wrecked this car yet. So. No. 1 year down, and
God knows we've tried.
Yeah, we've tried despite our best efforts. But before we pivot to psychology show and tell, I want to talk a little bit more about kind of the genesis of the show, and what our vision was and what made this different. Have you tried listening to any other therapy podcasts?
Yeah,
over this last year, like stuff that's actually current.
Not. I mean, I've listened to a few of our friend Jake's
Jake's
podcasts.
Stuff. Yeah, Jake's short and informative.
Yeah, and his is really good, but his is like I think his intent is a little bit different than ours.
Right.
His is very serious. It's kind of like going from Walter Cronkite over to
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. As a comparison. But yeah, and his I still will listen to every once in a while, and I find it very informative, really good. But yeah, other than that, other therapy podcasts, I haven't. I mean, not since we've started the show, only just before we actually started the show, but I haven't really gone back to any of them.
Yeah, so when we started our show, we sort of had a certain flavor in mind that we felt was consistent, was authentic with who we naturally were.
Well, I should say,
Yeah.
kind of our idea was Car Talk.
Car Talk.
With therapists.
NPR's Car Talk with Click and Clat, the Taffert brothers, and they knew how to fix cars. Like, that was their profession. But they were constantly trying to convince you that they didn't. Like, that was the thing.
Right. So they were kind of an inspiration. Ergo, the banjo music.
The banjo music came out of that, because that was their
part
intro. We were like, that'll be homage to
Yeah.
our theme. It's approachable and folksy and not
Right.
taking itself very seriously, even though we're in a profession that's often like, not deified, but is often seen with like, what is that? You know, the enigma of mental health people. And we wanted to destroy that wall. So it was like, oh no, these are the same guys that are wearing football jerseys, rooting, you know, on the stands like they're normal guys. But, you know, I've listened to other shows. I'm actually looking at my little podcast reservoir here. I've tried the psychology podcast. I've tried mental illness happy hour. I've tried speaking of psychology. So I've downloaded a bunch of others, and I like what we do in the universe of like all that mental health offers, because those other shows are, I found, and I've talked about this on the show before, but they tend to be very academic. Hello, welcome. Today we're talking about depression, cue music. And then they're like, did you know 300 million Americans have depression right now? You're like, what? All of them? It's like, who are the 30 million that don't? You know, like, but it's always like that. And they're like, you know, now we're going to talk about 3 tricks. And, you know, that's fine. I think that serves a purpose. But I really am grateful that ours is not that. Like, our tone is different. Ours is very authentic, very organic. We answer real questions. We take risks. And I think that anybody that listens to this comes away thinking, I could talk to a therapist. I feel like if that's what those are, I could do that. Those were pretty natural guys. So that was our mission. And I think we've become the Car Talk of therapy. One of my favorite things about Car Talk is how they finish with, well, you've done it again. You've wasted another hour. That's how I feel like we are too. It's like, well, you've done it again. You could have done something better with your life, but you did this. Oh man. So what a journey, man. 1 year in the bank.
Yep.
Season finale, closing out 2018, pivoting over 2019. So let's talk a little studies, my man. This is something we've wanted to do. Drop a huge nerd bomb.
Yeah, so this is something that we kind of came up with, like I said, a while ago, but just decided this would be a good episode to do it. But
yeah,
I think we all kind of have those studies that we remember from like our intro to psych or social psychology, where it just kind of resonates with us, and we learn a little bit about human behavior, and it's something that kind of sticks with us for a while. So we decided that we were each going to identify our favorite psych study from history and bring it here and kind of explain what it was, what was the purpose, and why we found it so helpful or useful, what we got out of it.
And this will actually be really useful. Maddie's a psych student, so this will be perfect. So, you know, she might not have ever heard of one of these studies yet. And so we'll give you the answers to your test here. And actually, don't ever write down our answers. We're always wrong. Almost universally.
Seems to be the case.
We're wrong. So what was your study, Nick?
So mine was the Solomon Asch conformity experiment.
I knew you were going to pick it.
Yeah? How'd you know that?
Because that's the one I guessed.
Did you write down the
Look
same
at that
one?
smug face. You didn't know. No,
it did come up in the results.
If you did know, it's because I actually have used this quite a bit when doing groups.
Yeah.
I'll talk about this study. I'll reference this because it was really impactful. So Solomon Asch was a psychologist, and he was studying conformity behavior in groups.
Right.
So this goes back to 1951. And what he did was he had a group of 7 people sit at a table in a classroom. They're facing the front of the class. And at the front of the class, he would hold up 2 cards. And on one card, which would be on the left-hand side, would be a line, just a regular line.
Right.
And then on the other card would be 3 lines, and one of them would be the same length as the first line. And he would say, okay, I want you to identify which of these 3 lines is the same length as the control line.
Okay.
That's it. And it was a very easy distinction to make. You could look at it and you can say, okay, obviously it's B, or obviously it's C. So the interesting part of this study was that out of those 7 participants, only one of them was an actual participant. The other 6 were Confederates. Not as in they supported the South. In psychology.
Are you sure that's not what it was? What year was the study?
This was in 1951. So
1851?
So in psychology, a Confederate is somebody who gives the appearance of being a participant, but is actually part of the study.
They're in on it. They're one of the researchers.
Yes. So what he would do is they would have to give their answers one at a time. So he would start on the far left end of the room, and that person would give their answer, and then they would go down the line and give their answer. And the participant of the study was in the last seat.
Oh, wow.
So by the time they got to the participant, 6 other people have already given the answer.
And the answer is, which one of these lines do you think is the same as the other line? And you said it's a pretty obvious thing. Like,
it is pretty obvious.
Super hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they did multiple trials. So each time he would hold up a card, that's one trial.
Okay.
Right. So they would do multiple trials. So I think in the first, I want to say 3 trials or something, they were giving correct answers.
Okay.
Okay. So you'd start over here. What do you think?
A.
B, B, all the way across.
Okay.
And then he would get to what they identified as critical trials. And these were the ones that the Confederate would give the wrong answer. And everybody following him would give the same answer. And then they would see what the actual participant would do when they get to the
person
end.
Would say,
yes.
No, it's B.
Yeah. So they would all intentionally give the wrong answer to see whether the person would conform with the rest of the group or venture off and be right. Give the right answer.
Study.
And so what they found was that
humans are sheep.
Yeah. No, it was about 37% of the time.
Yeah.
So you don't think it's like a really high number, but 37% of the time, the participant would go with the group in providing the wrong answer.
Okay.
No.
Only that, huh?
Only.
I would think it'd be way higher.
Well, but 75% of the time, every participant would give at least one. Okay, so 75% of the participants did at least
they
once.
Will conform to the
they
wrong
will
answer.
Conform.
I see. But on any given one, they're 30% likely to go with the lie.
Only 25% of the participants
were purists.
And would
they
not.
They never were wavering.
Exactly.
Wow.
They would always go with the correct answer.
75% of humanity is capable of doing that.
So that's the meat of the study right there, is that only 25%
will tell the truth.
Consistently.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That feels high.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm actually shocked.
There's 25% of humanity that will be straight shooters?
Yeah.
But this is my point. Your study, if it proves anything, it's that referees are unreliable. That is what I'm trying to say. That's why there's a home team advantage, because whenever the whole crowd is like, boo, you're wrong. The ref's like, well, hold on here. He's the 7th participant. And he's like, well, you know what? Maybe it was in bounds. And so, it's like, damn it.
So we talk about this a lot because we would always say, like, everybody wants to say, well, I'm a nonconformist. I like to
straight shooter.
Yeah, I will always stick up for myself. Especially, I hear this a lot when we're talking about addictions treatment.
Yeah,
we're talking about people going back into their old environment and be like, well, I'm still going to hang out with these guys. I'm just not going to use.
Right.
And there is a social pressure to fit in.
Right.
And this is it's a much bigger deal than what we actually think it is. Even as much as we try to say that we're not going to conform. To a large degree, we end up doing it. At least some percentage of the time, we will conform knowing that it's not the right thing to do.
Yes.
So there were some setbacks to this study. This is done back in 1951. So one of the issues was, this is at the height of McCarthyism.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
So they were kind of looking at, was this time specific to this group?
Okay.
Because it was a big deal to need to conform at that time. You didn't, the tall blade of grass got clipped.
Cut. Yeah, right.
So you needed to conform. But there's been other studies since, and they will usually find some similar results. The most recent, I think, was back in the 80s. But the way that they did the study was also kind of confusing as well, because the participants that they used were, I think they used like physics and engineering students.
Oh, okay.
And so they thought, well, maybe, because they didn't get the same results.
Yeah.
They got more individuality and people giving the correct answer, but they thought, well, maybe it was actually the participants.
If you put a bunch of math nerds in there and 6 of them give the wrong answer, the 7th guy, he is so excited.
Oh,
to be
yeah,
the
yeah,
right
yeah.
guy. Like, he's like, I'm going to get it.
What I've been
I
waiting
can't believe
for.
it. I was watching each one of you blow it. I got it. Like, this guy's like nerd fever over there. Like, no, the physics kids ain't go work with.
The other thing that I really liked about this was how it led into other social psychology studies when we talk about helping behavior, right? Altruism and the bystander effect. So when you see somebody who's injured or is hurting, do you actually help that person? Right. And they find that the more people who are there, the least likely people are to help, right?
Right.
Kind of going back to the whole Kitty Genovese situation where she was murdered in New York City back in, I think it was like the 1930s. And like 70 some people, I think, saw it happen, but no one called the police.
It's funny because the study you're talking about influenced other studies.
Right.
Like there's other very important classic studies. That's the Good Samaritan study that you're talking about.
Right. And and that's the thing I think that makes a really good study in history is not just what it discovered itself, but how it led to other studies and where we've gone from that. Because one of the other interesting things that I learned from like the bystander effect is I always kind of looked at it as there being this effect that if it's kind of the diffusion of responsibility. So if there's more people around, we all assume somebody else is going to do something. Right. And therefore it decreases our personal responsibility to get involved. But actually there is a group component to it, which is that we are part of a group. So what we have when we see somebody who is injured, we've got two conflicting ideas. We've got this belief or this idea that we should help this person, but then we also have this identity of being part of a larger group. Right. And the larger group isn't doing anything.
So what should we do?
Right. So I feel a pressure to go with what the larger group is doing, which is nothing.
This study has so many effects.
I want to know, like, because I think if I were in that situation, I would think somebody else will do it. Because there's so many of us, somebody else will probably take care of this. Right. But if there's fewer people, there's less opportunities for someone else to help. Yeah. So I feel like there's more pressure, like, there's no one here. I need to do something.
Yeah. And so I was watching, they did this, they replicated this study in London where they had a woman who was lying on the steps in this very public walkway, right? Like kind of by a Capitol building or government office or something. And she was just lying there like she was dead.
Oh my gosh.
And people were passing by. Nobody was doing anything.
They're all too polite to help.
Then there was one woman who was standing there and she was watching. But she never interacted until somebody else came and offered to help. And then she went over. Yeah. Because now the dynamics have changed. Yes. Now the group, now she has a choice in which group she wants to be in. Right. She was in the larger group of people doing nothing. Hard to step out. Then somebody else jumps in and she's like, oh, now I can change groups. God. Now I can be in the group that helps.
It's amazing. The cascade of how many different studies gets affected by that one.
And then they also did this other thing where they did the exact same experiment, except this time the people before were just wearing regular street clothes. But this time they did an experiment where a guy was wearing a suit. And he was helped almost instantaneously.
He was the guy on the ground?
Yeah.
Oh.
And the idea behind this is because now we identify him as being a member of our group.
Right.
That person's injured. So that's a member of our group.
Okay.
Yes.
God, it's amazing. I mean, even when you go back to the first day you were talking about, the one where they did the 7 participants one, that study also revealed a lot about how we do studies to make sure that the results are not tainted. Right. Like when we do studies, back in the day, it was not uncommon to group everybody in the same place and just ask in a survey, hey, out of all 100 of you, how many of you believe X? But that study revealed that people are looking at the other hands that go up, and that's changing their honest answer. And so we started doing individual studies and double blinds, in part because of what that study revealed about peer pressure.
Absolutely.
That you have unreliable outcomes if you let people know what others will say. They will be influenced. But I mean, it changes everything. How you think about politics, how you identify a society. God, that's incredible. And you're right. Then there was the second study, the Good Samaritan, which talked about the bystander effect. That people just will not help if there's more people there. And it's funny because if you look at the bystander effect, which also is a really good study, and people should definitely look into that, one of the tangible real-world things that came out of the bystander study was CPR training. If any person in the workplace has been trained in CPR, you remember that if you're trained in the right way, they tell you that when you're the first guy on the ground, you look up, you identify somebody next to you, you point at that person, and if you know their name, you tell them, Maddie, go get help. Go dial 911.
Yes.
Yeah, you're in charge of that. And that's because of the bystander effect, because nobody else will do anything unless you point at somebody and you become the captain of the football team and you say, I'm giving you the burden.
Right.
It's your job. Then they'll do it.
Wow.
But if you don't, you just say, somebody call 911. Nobody will do it.
Exactly.
And it's crazy because in my real life, this was Easter years and years ago. Maddie, I don't know if you were at my house when this happened, when James choked on that olive. Were you there?
No.
We had like a backyard barbecue thing for Easter, and my son was very, very little, and my father-in-law gave him a whole olive, just that was pitted, so it just had like the hollow hole in there, but it was a whole olive. And when you have little kids, like you slice everything into little pieces. Gave him a whole olive, and one of my pathological fears for my children is that they will choke. And it's a PTSD thing. I almost choked to death in a truck once when I was a little kid. You weren't born yet, Maddie. Mom and I were driving back. We lived in Chicago at the time. We were driving back from a farm where she had a friend, and the farm lady gave me like a powdered brownie on a piece of napkin. And I was eating it, and I was this little boy. This was in our old white Nissan truck, and it was dark, and I started trying to lick the paper to get the powdered sugar off.
Suck the paper in.
Yep, I sucked the paper in. It went right into my windpipe. And Mom just notices that like I'm like gagging. She doesn't know what's going on. It's pitch black. We're in the middle of nowhere, Illinois.
And she's driving?
Yep. And so she pulls over and she has to put me like in front of the headlights, pulls me out of the car, puts me in front of the headlights, and I'm passing out. And she reached down with her nail and was able to get deep in my throat and pull out the paper.
God, I didn't know about this.
And I consciously remember all this. So I am terrified of people choking.
Wow.
Like I keep a first aid app on my phone about CPR, and I watch it once a month just to refresh myself on how to save somebody if they're choking.
This is so something you would do, even if you didn't have that.
I do it.
He's such an extremist. Like
I've been traumatized.
There's always
how can you make fun of this?
So overprotective.
Bearing my heart.
I'm sorry. That's a real rational fear.
Yeah, thank you.
But you do go a little far with things. Like you would have a first aid
So my
app.
son was choking, and my father-in-law gave him a
calm down, Jim.
olive. And so I lost it. But when this happened, I went right into action because I had been trained. And like I watched that stupid app over and over and over again. So I immediately grab my son. I start doing the Heimlich. I point to my brother-in-law, Steve, and I go, Steve, call 911 right now. And so then I'm doing the Heimlich, and we're trying. My son's having a hard time getting it up. My wife comes over. We both, she's a teacher, so we're both super trained in CPR. So we ultimately get it out of him. It was scary, though.
Yeah.
And when it's your own kid, what was in real time seconds felt like hours.
Oh,
right?
Sure.
And I was shaken to my core, like when this happened. But I'm still pissed because Steve didn't call 911.
Yeah, why would he though?
Because I pointed at him and I assigned him the responsibility.
That's the thing.
Like the tape told me to.
If it were Janelle that was like, Steve, call 911, best believe Steve would have like freaking dialed 911.
My wife asked you to do it. You wouldn't call 911 because I didn't say it.
No.
Excuse me, you're not my brother.
Listen to my logic.
Tell me what to do.
That's actually opposite of what I'm saying. If Janelle told me to call 911, I would be on the phone yesterday because it's Janelle.
Right.
Because
I overreact?
Yes.
Well, I'm trying to save my See,
that's the thing. Hell. James could have a hiccup.
This is why we need psychology. You all need to be trained.
No, she's right, though.
You know.
It is true. I freak out.
Janelle, thank God you married somebody that's like low key.
If my kid bumps his head, I'm like pulling out flashlights. Like, let me see your eyes. Let me like flicking the light in his eyes. Like, are you okay?
I have no idea what this does, but I saw it on
ER. I know what's going on.
This morning, his daughter was upstairs playing with her Barbies and doing their hair.
Yeah.
But he didn't realize she was upstairs. He thought she was downstairs. And so he's like, Julie, where are you? He's like, and then I hear him upstairs. When Daddy says your name, you say, I'm here, Daddy.
In my defense.
Daddy,
was it not only yesterday that I walked out of the living room for literally 30 seconds and came running back in at the sound of my toddler who had pushed a chair to the kitchen sink, climbed upon the kitchen sink, and had started the freaking garbage disposal and was like leaning in to get in there.
She was not. Okay, that's the part. See, that is so you're over exaggerating that. She was not leaning in to get to the garbage.
It's a good damn thing that I overreact to every small thing.
I'm not proud of that moment. I should have been there.
It's a toddler with a garbage disposal. Where were you?
See, and then that's the cycle. That's how we get back to he's never going to get help for this. Because he thinks this is a useful thing in his life.
I'm going to save a life.
Okay.
You don't know how many times I've saved yours.
For our listeners, this is what we call a type 1 error in cognition, which is a false positive. But it's necessary for survival. You're more likely to survive if you take everything as being a complete emergency.
Yep. Maddie, I have saved your life more times than you know because I have been like this since we were children. I hovered
He gets it
around
from
you.
our mother, too.
I do.
She's
Mom's
nuts.
crazy.
She's actually
Mom is
crazy.
legit crazy. But it's funny because...
And a listener.
And a
No,
a
she
THERAPOD.
knows.
She's a sponsor of the show.
She
She
knows.
knows how crazy she is. But it's funny because, like, for years I would never let anybody babysit my kids because I don't trust them. But the two people that I would let babysit were my sister, who she says she's not crazy, but she is.
I don't think he's going to let me anymore after the garbage.
No,
disposal
you blew
incidents.
it. No, that's it.
I'm sorry.
No, we're done.
I'm guessing Steve's on that shit list too.
Oh, he don't watch the kids. No, I don't trust any of my brother-in-laws. They ain't watching these kids. But my mom is the one I really trust because she is insane. Like, she makes me look like Diet Pepsi, man. Like, she comes in like, she's checking all the outlets to make sure there's little covers on everything. She checks all the doors. Like,
the woman who saved your life.
yeah, she saved my life because she's nuts. Okay, she didn't wait. That's my point. So the point that all this study comes back to is that Jimmy's not crazy. Jim's not crazy. Dr.
Right.
Jobin, Dr. Bubby. You're welcome. Okay, you are alive today because of me.
I love that you haven't even been able to name a time, but you're like, I'm pretty sure I did. Like, I'm pretty
Do you want
sure.
just one? Do you want just one? Because I have them indexed.
Okay.
All right.
I'm good.
It was the summer of 1998. You had locked yourself in your bedroom. Nobody knew how to get you out. Mom was losing her crap because you were small enough that we didn't know if you were choking in there or what was going on.
Yeah, see, that's the part.
I took
that's
off
the part.
the doorknob. I
We didn't know
removed the
if you were starting
doorknob
to
from
fire.
the door.
We had no
to
idea.
rescue you. You are welcome.
You were taking pills. It was terrifying.
We don't know what was going on because the door was locked and a toddler was behind it, and I removed the door to get you out of
All
it.
right. Well, I think
You're
that just proves
welcome.
my point.
You're welcome. Unfreaking grateful.
So, Jim, what did you come up with?
Okay. So my study was a little bit different. One of the things that we talk about a lot on the show is like different types of therapeutic approaches, right? And so we've told our listeners a bunch of different times that you and I come from different psychotherapy schools of thought. And so I think in the past we've talked about that there's lots of different kinds, right? There's Sigmund Freud, who came up with what's called psychoanalysis, which is a specific way to approach a patient and try to help them. There's Alfred Adler, who came up with individual psychology. There's Carl Rogers, came up with person-centered psychology. There's who's the cognitive behavioral therapy? Aaron Beck. Yeah, Dr. Aaron Beck came up with cognitive behavioral therapy. There's Milton Erickson, who came up with solution-focused brief therapy and is the inspiration for narrative therapy and other things. There's all these different kinds. There's feminist therapy, a lot of people don't know about. There's systems therapy, which is family therapy, which is a whole nother kettle of fish, you know. And so whenever you're in a master's program, one of the foundational studies that you're often taught is in your theories class. And so when you're taking your theories class and you're learning about all the different kinds of styles of therapy, you, I think, naturally have that question of like, so there's like 12 or, 13 really big ones. Which is the best?
Yes.
Yeah, which is the best therapy? Yep. And so we get that question a lot where people are like, I have this problem. What should I go do? What is the best therapy? And when we talk to students a lot, we get this question because they're always interested in like addictions work, kind of follow certain models and like mental health work. And so it's interesting because one of the questions that we'll often ask our guests when we've had therapists on the show is we'll ask them, what do you come from? And, Jake has told us about that. We've had several different people. Sydney talked about that. Mm-hmm. And so every time we have a therapist on the show, we always ask that question. And our listeners are often like, what's the deal with that? Like, you're all therapists, right? You just do the same thing. Fundamentally different. And a lot of times the way we describe it is we tell people that our different theories are kind of like mixed martial arts. Like two people get in the cage, you have the same goal, which is beat up the other guy, right? But you have vastly different methods for how you do that. One guy's a wrestler, one guy's a boxer, one guy kicks, it's all different. So with all these different forms of psychotherapy, when we're in grad school, we're always curious, I think, as students, to find out, well, which one's the right one. So the foundational study that I wanted to talk about is the study that is actually referred to as the dodo bird verdict. You remember this? Mm-hmm. So it's called the dodo bird verdict. And it comes from a line in the book Alice in Wonderland, or really Through the Looking Glass. And in it, there's a scene in Alice in Wonderland where there's a race, and they're all running in this circle. But as everybody's running, nobody can figure out who's in first place.
Right.
And they don't know like who's the winner anymore because it's an exact circle and they're not keeping track. And at some point the race, it comes to a conclusion, and there's a quote from the book. It says, "At last the dodo said, 'Everybody has won and all must have prizes.'" And so they actually called this study the dodo bird verdict. So the study was done by Saul Rosenwig, and it's from 1935. And it was actually, the title of the story is not the dodo bird verdict. The title of the story is Some Implicit Common Factors in Diverse Methods of Psychotherapy. And so basically, this study pitted against each other all the different forms of psychotherapy. And they did this in a variety of different ways, training, bringing in world experts in different forms. So psychoanalysis under Freud, cognitive behavioral therapy, narrative therapy, narrative therapy didn't exist in 1935, but all the big wigs. Gestalt therapy was huge back then. Cognitive behavioral existed, individual therapy under Adler. And at the time, there was this big debate over which one of these was actually the most powerful therapy. And if you're a grad student, you actually have to watch the Gloria experiments. There's still video of this. You can type this into YouTube, and it's the Gloria experiments. And this is still, like, if you're a nerd psychology person, like you really nerd out on this kind of stuff, look up the Gloria experiments, because it's not live, but it's a video, which actually was done live, under which world famous psychologists at the time, each who had their own therapy, work with the same patient, this woman Gloria, and they try to do a session with her live on film to demonstrate their technique. And each one of them has a different sort of reaction from her, which is completely within what they wanted to have. So if you're more of a confrontational psychologist, that was there. So Fritz Perls, the progenitor of Gestalt therapies, on that. He has a session with her. The Carl Rogers has a session with her, which, by the way, if you're a psychology nerd, is stunning. Because at the end of his session, like, she is crying. He had 1 hour with her. And it's like so profound because he was so amazing. And just, I'm a huge Rogers devotee. But yeah, I think Alfred Adler's on there. And so like, it's really, really cool. But at the time when this study was done, there was a huge debate. And really there was a lot of tribalism and lots of schools of thought. Like you would go to like the Milan school to study system psychology, or you would go to the Adler school to study individual psychology, like very, very tribal. And Freud's camp of psychoanalysis was like king of the country. So, and king of the world, really, because the Austrian school of psychoanalysis was huge. Carl Jung, like all these different like ways to approach therapy. This study revealed that it did not matter which form of psychotherapy you used. They all had equal efficacy. And when you're a grad student and you're told that, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, I'm shocked.
How the hell is that possible?
So we're wasting our time.
Yeah.
And that's so that when you're a student, we
Right.
usually drop that bomb on you and we don't make it better. We usually just leave you with that and let you walk out of class that day after building it up for a whole like lecture.
Now,
And then you reveal it. Go ahead.
ahead.
What was that like for you whenever you found that out? Do you remember like the, oh my God, what does it matter?
Well, I wasn't even in school. This was like later on, I think, when I learned about this.
Yeah.
But now, does this study go into what they did find as the most effective? So
that's why it pivots.
I don't want to.
So when you reveal this to grad students, they have the shock and awe moment because they're all really good. Because you usually reveal it during a theories class. So they spend a whole semester learning about theories and figuring out which ones they really like and which ones they are, and learning about why these theories are effective, because these are evidence-based theories. We have proof that they will beat a placebo every single time, but that doesn't mean they beat each other. And so this study, which has now been replicated over and over again, tells you, oh, no. It doesn't matter which theory you use. They're all about equally effective. And that stuns a student because they're like, so like Nick said, wait, so this is all a placebo? It doesn't matter what you do? And what the study revealed was the most important factor in psychotherapy is not the theory. It is the therapist. And that's what their study actually dove into. The fact that it also coincidentally figured out that no theory mattered more than the others was because they were really studying what are the common ingredients of effective psychotherapy. I'll read the title of the study again. Some Implicit Common Factors in Diverse Methods of Psychotherapy. And so the study was about The real factor that changes another human in the medical and in clinical experience of therapy was not the playbook of the therapist, was not the way that they conceived of the human, whether we believed that this problem was a subconscious one, or whether we believed it was a behavioral one, or whether we believed in cognition that came before behavior. It did not matter whether we approached it from a system perspective of understanding your family first or understanding you as an individual human. It did not matter how you did it. What mattered were the core central components of what it means to be a therapist, which is the training and the personhood of the therapist. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because Carl Rogers and person-centered therapy is essentially that. If you're looking for a version of therapy which just basically took together the core pieces that were involved in all forms of therapy, that's Carl Rogers' person-centered therapy.
Right.
Carl Rogers does not have a goal. When he sits down with you to do therapy, he does not have an agenda. He does not have specific things he's trying to get you to see. He's not trying to understand you in the context of some kind. He's not trying to take care of a neurosis or extinguish irrational thought like Adler might do or Albert Ellis might do. No. He wants to understand you. That's it. He wants to join with you, and at the end of that session, he should be able to describe your world from your perspective as if he understood you authentically and genuinely. And that human connection of revealing truth, going through it, understanding it, analyzing it, and seeking what Carl Rogers called congruence, which is getting the human to kind of fit their own desires and expectations of the world, is what is the mechanism of change. So here's a quote from the study. This is from 1935. Saul Rosenwig wrote this. This is the end of his study. This is what he writes. Quote, "In conclusion, it may be said that given a therapist who has an effective personality and who consistently adheres in his treatment to a system of concepts which he has mastered and which is in one significant way or another adapted to the problems of the sick person, then it is of comparatively little consequence what particular method that therapist uses." And basically what the study revealed...
Insert mic drop here.
Yeah, insert mic drop. The person of therapist being a master of their craft is the most important factor in the room. And it destroys the placebo. Therapy works, but you can't simulate the effects of therapy without the therapist.
How has that impacted you today as a therapist?
So a lot of times whenever we're teaching theory or like we're trying to talk about what helps, it is still so I want to be careful to the listener because I don't want people to get the wrong idea that some forms of therapy are not also been proven to be more effective on certain conditions. So like cognitive behavioral therapy is a gold standard when it comes to anxiety and depression.
Addiction.
Yes, yeah. And addiction as well. And so like we've seen like different therapies really have a lot of efficacy. So it is true. And there's some that have faded out, like psychoanalysis. There was another study that was just done with eating disorders. And it was they gave a set of participants 20 sessions of CBT, and they gave another set of participants 2 years of psychoanalysis, and then they had a control group, and the CBT absolutely destroyed the psychoanalysis, and the study was run by psychoanalysts, so they were biased. So okay. CBT has evidence base.
So I guess the big takeaway here is that there is some impact on a therapeutic model.
Yes,
for certain things, but for the most part, the biggest thing is the relationship between the client and the
it's
therapist.
Still the thing. And so I think that is it's a very powerful takeaway. Because you and I often, people will ask us, what should I look for in a therapist? And, what qualities and blah, blah, blah.
Right, yeah.
And we're usually discouraging them from over shopping. We're like, listen, just get started, because, and I believe that's kind of what the study does say, because it says a master therapist, it doesn't matter what playbook they use.
Yeah.
If they're good at what they do, just go in and things will improve. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the huge takeaway. For me, one of the most meaningful things I remember in grad school was a passage that talked about the instrument of medicine. And it was saying, for the surgeon, the instrument of medicine is his blade, right? That is what he will use to change your health. And it talked about, for a general doctor, the instrument of medicine is usually the chemicals, the prescription that he is going to carefully balance and dole out and monitor, right? And it talked about, for a therapist, the instrument of medicine is the therapist, that we are the delivery vehicle that will ultimately cause the change. It is the relationship that we form and the encounter that we have which is real. It is authentic. It's not fake. That is who we really are. But it is a version of ourselves that has been carefully cultivated and curated for a long time to prepare to encounter you and change your life. And so I just think it's a profound study because it has a big reveal to it of like, oh my God, which one of these is most important? And it's like, it isn't the study. It isn't the theory. Right. Those are all helpful. There's evidence that suggests these are all very important and get results. But the most important factor in therapy is not the therapy, it's the therapist.
Exactly.
And I think that's just a profound study. So that's my show.
That's good. I like that one. I actually kind of forgot about that one.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool. They call it the dodo verdict, the dodo bird verdict.
We may have to do this again because there's a whole bunch of other, as I was going back through all my old books and kind of reading up on Ash's study.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of them.
That was starting to jump out. And you're like, oh, let's talk about that one too.
Jane Elliott's.
Oh, yeah.
The school teacher.
One. Yeah.
That was in Iowa too.
Oh, it was. And in fact, it's called the Iowa School Experiment.
Oh, is it?
I remember this.
Yeah.
But no, I got to meet her once. Do that. You got to meet her?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're going to elaborate? You're just going to let us
She's
know?
a bitch. I'm not. Did
she refuse you at a bar? Is that what this is?
No.
She's stuck up.
No, like her delivery method, because she does a lot of speaking now.
Okay.
Her delivery method, like she does not hold back. She holds no, like she almost to the point where she's kind of abusive.
Okay.
to the audience.
A little crass. Yeah.
Yeah. But she is right. I mean, like she makes some amazing points and she really challenges the things that you think about and belief systems and everything.
Super intelligent.
Yeah. We'll go into it sometime, but really
not
good.
Exactly saccharine.
Right.
Well, that has been Psychology Show and Tell for our season finale. I think that was a great idea, Nick. Thank you for letting us do that. I think that was a lot of fun.
You're welcome.
And we're going to keep it trucking because this is an extended episode, but of course it cannot go on forever. So we have 2 and 3 things to do left. We still have our gift exchange. We have our newlywed game, which is coming up. But before that, we sent out the message to the masses and said, hey, if there's any questions you have for us that are not, advice related, but a little bit more like human related, send them in. We'll answer your questions. So a bunch of our listeners actually sent in questions over the past week and a half. And I've compiled those. And our co-host today, our special guest, Maddie, is going to read us the questions. And if you don't know how to pronounce their name, don't worry. We pretty much know all of our listeners by name. So we can pretty much tell you what it was.
That's great. So do I get to just choose which ones? Are we doing
go in order. Go in order. They're actually in a good order.
All right, this first one I don't really understand, but I'd like to know more about it.
There's off to a great start. I like it.
Lori
Elsroth?
Yes, on Facebook asks, dragon or Russia?
That's a very simple question.
Russia.
We went to what was that? Tournament of Kings.
Oh.
And we were seated in the Russia zone, and the other rest of the fan club was in the Dragon zone. Yep. And so there is now a blood match between us. So the answer is Russia. The answer is always Russia.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot you need to know other than that Dragon they're degenerates. They're terrible.
They're dead. Yeah, horrible. Dead weight on society.
Right.
They killed the king. They tried to.
I'm sorry. And your whole fan club was sitting over there?
Oh, half. Well, it wasn't our fan club.
It wasn't ours.
We were piggybacking in the scoops that day.
Yeah. It was ice cream social.
All the good people were in Russia.
I think so.
Yeah. So if you're a dragon and you're listening to this, make no apologies. You know what you did. You tried to kill the king. Rooting for the wrong side. But good question, Lori. Thank you for that.
Yeah. This next one, I think one of our listeners will like to hear a lot and know the answer to. I'm sure she already knows the answer.
Okay.
Mom. Robert Brooks Lyle on Facebook asks, who loves their mother more?
This is a tough one, but I think it's hard to... It would be hard to argue that anybody loves Jim's mom more than I do. Oh, I'm sorry. I misread that. I misread the question.
No, I think you got it. I think you got it. Yeah. Yeah, I've been, she says you send her like a lot of mail. Like, it's just getting kind of weird. Like, she's getting a lot of DMs from you lately.
He actually calls her, responds to texts.
Yeah, I would say that Nick and I both share strong affection for my mother. So mine's more platonic.
Right.
But Good question, Robert Brooks.
Yeah, that was it. Thanks, Robert.
I think both of our moms have listened to the show at this point, though.
I don't think so.
Your mom's never listened to it?
I don't think so.
Oh, my gosh. You better get her on board, dude.
Nope, I want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It changed my game. Once I knew my mom was listening and then she patroned the show, I was like, crap, I can't hide anything anymore. But it's really funny because she texts me now after the show, which I don't think she understands that like it's not live. So like while she's listening, she'll be like, "Oh, it was a good one." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?"
She still calls it a radio show?
Yes. She goes, "That was your radio show." She likes it. She says, "I'm following you on the Twitter bird thing." And I'm like, "Okay, Mom." That's fantastic. Good question, though. I like that one.
All right. So the next question comes from Judy Snyder on Facebook. She says, "What was your favorite toy as a child?"
I like this question. This is a good one.
Yeah, because in it, she also talked about her favorite toy was that spinning top thing, and she wants Jake to build her one. Jake won't do it. Get on it, Jake. Come on. Judy's a good woman, okay? You're lucky to have her. Build her a sit and spin. That's all she wants.
What was yours?
Favorite toy as a child?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it changes over time. It was probably He-Man. I was big into He-Man.
Oh, no, I have one.
Okay, you have one specific toy?
Yes, and it has always remained my favorite toy.
Okay.
The Shuttle Tidarian.
The Shuttle Tidarian?
The Emperor's Shuttle from Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
It's got the two wings and
that fold down.
So
yeah, it has like the dorsal fin wing that's like up in the middle.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Oh my God, I love that toy. I think I was probably 7 years old when I got it. And I wanted the Millennium Falcon like really bad, but my parents, they just couldn't find it.
Sure.
Right? It was really hard to get.
Yeah.
But they got me that one instead. And I loved that toy. I remember the very first time, the thing was bigger than I was.
Oh my God.
And so I had it in my room and I was flying it around. I had it for like 5 minutes and I ran it into the wall.
Oh no.
And it was all good.
Yeah.
It was all good.
They made them durable back then.
Oh man, it was so much fun.
Did you do the soundtrack every time you pick it up? Like,
no, but it had a little button that you push and it would make sound effects and everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
dude,
yeah.
what a different era for toys.
Yeah.
This morning, my kids were hitting each other with my original 1988 He-Man sword.
Yeah.
Same batteries.
Wow.
Still works. If you ever wonder what the meaning of Hanukkah is, it's batteries working in an electric toy sword.
Yeah, you should start a religion.
30-something years. I heard it explained today. Like, if you're wondering how Hanukkah works, imagine your phone was on 10% and lasted for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's Hanukkah. I was like, okay.
Great question. Jim.
Great question. A lot of fun.
Okay, the next one is Robert Shields on Facebook. He asks, if you had to change careers tomorrow, what would you do?
This is a good question. If you had to change careers. So professions. So even though your role has changed in our industry,
right?
If you had to fundamentally change professions, what would you do?
I don't. This is scary because I have no other skills. Scott's pointing to his record. Yeah, I would come work for Scott.
There
I think
go.
Is what I would do.
Come do some tech work.
I could do this.
Yeah, that's your
absolutely.
fallback position.
Yeah.
Honestly, what would you do?
I don't know. Like, I've always thought it'd be fun to be a tour guide.
Okay.
Yeah, I could do that.
Be a tour guide, like on your left. This is the MGM.
Or hiking tours. You know, get a group of people who, you know, come to Las Vegas. They want to go out to Red Rock. They want to hike.
Okay.
Like,
I could see you doing that. I could see you being
like
a hiking tour guide.
Yeah.
I kind of see that as your dream job.
Yeah.
And you'd finally be other, you know, a different hue than bleach white. That'd be good for you. Yeah, the sun a little bit more.
This is my December skin.
All right, so alternative career. I'd probably go back to stripping. I feel like the money's too good. You know, it's just
the dad bod is in.
The dad bod is huge right now. Yeah, everybody loves me up there. Look at him just trying.
No, that's what you should call it. Open your own strip club and call it the dad bod.
Dad bods.
I thought the strip club was called Just Trying.
Just trying. That's right. Welcome to
Doing
Daddy
his
Jim's. Welcome to Daddy Jim's Wine and Dine. This next little ditty is Cheeseburger in Paradise. Yeah. No, I guess I don't know. I think if I had to do something completely different, I'd probably go back to teaching. I guess that's the only other career I've ever really had. So I'd probably fall back into teaching again.
Did you like it?
No, absolutely the devil. So. Nobody's asking what we'd like to do. Nick and I are trying to come up with how we would survive.
Yeah. I did interpret this question as strictly survival.
I'm not good at anything. Yeah. I will just pay my bills. Good question, though.
This one's really good. It's a 2-part question from Linda B on Twitter.
Linda B!
Aw. First one's for Nick. Do you envision children in your future?
Like seeing them or having them?
I think that's what she meant.
Sure,
I think she meant like
them.
when you close your eyes, are you able to imagine children?
I don't even know what kids look like.
I've never seen one, I guess.
No, absolutely not. No kids.
No children.
Nope.
No children.
I'm assuming Laura feels the same way. Okay.
She does.
She
I
does.
was like, this would be so awkward. It's a comfortable podcast.
Once you've met their dogs, though, you'll understand why. They're already too much of a handful. Like, these dogs are like wearing clothes.
Just sweaters. It's cold. They're going to stay warm.
That's right. They got to stay warm.
No, I don't think no, I've got no interest in having kids. People always said, "Oh, you will in the future," and that just has not happened.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly fine with it.
Hasn't happened yet.
I'm saving so much money.
Yeah.
You break my heart. It's so close to home. Oh, you have no idea. Oh, I haven't had a night out in months.
All right. So part 2 goes to Jim.
Yes.
Jim, how did you know that your wife was the one?
Oh my gosh. It's a funny question because I would to this day say she's not the one. And she would say that too. Like if you asked her, like we have this question where we've asked each other this, or other people have asked us, how did you guys know that you're the one? And we both kind of shake our heads and go, I don't think we believe in that. Like we don't believe in the one. It was the right one and we felt good about it. We dated for 2 weeks before I proposed. And we got married 6 months later. We've been together for 12 years.
Wait.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
It was nuts.
It was nuts.
We were like, who?
Yeah.
What?
It was like, I have a new girlfriend, by
you
the
were
way. She's my
engaged
fiance.
after 2 weeks?
2 weeks. Yeah.
That's
Dated her for
crazy.
2 weeks, took her out on the Desert Princess cruise in Lake Mead for Valentine's Day, and popped the question right there.
To be fair, he was like a child.
I
so.
was 19.
Was?
Yeah, I was 19. Yeah, it was. Yeah, still a child. She was 18. I was 19. When we got married, we couldn't even drink at our own wedding. I think I was 20 when we got married.
That is insane.
It is. Yeah, it happened very, very fast. So it's one of those stories we're never going to tell our children because we don't want them to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're like lying about it. Like, no, we knew each other for 35 years and our parents approved. But I did ask her dad's permission. I did go do that. So like that was kind of my, like, I did honestly kind of have like a checklist. Like, I don't believe in the one, but I did like have this like set of rules because I knew I was going fast. I felt like I wanted to. And I did have like a checklist of like things that I was checking to make sure that people in my life who I believe to be wise and useful to me didn't think I was making a huge mistake, because 2 weeks is insane, right? And 6 months later is insane. But I did have kind of like this circle of elders that I went to, and I asked them like, hey, can I get your opinion on this? One of them said, you'll have like my blessing, so to speak, if you go to like premarital counseling, which we did. We totally attended that, and that we were engaged during the time, but we did it. And then I went and asked her father. I actually went out to Pahrump and took a walk with him in the night and asked him if I could marry his daughter. And he was like, this is the first time I've ever met you, but he felt like he had, it's a good feeling.
Wow.
So, yeah.
They did know each other for a couple of years.
We did. Yeah.
Then?
We only
Like,
dated for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But we were very
They
close
were
friends for
friends.
years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
well, this
it wasn't like I met her.
Okay.
No, we knew each other for years.
this is an advice podcast, and I feel like we're just
No.
we're going
Always
down
do as I
the
say,
wrong-
not as I do.
And we're
Yeah.
done. We're done.
Always do as I say, not
You're
as I
outta here.
do. That's the
Looks
first.
like there will be no season
Just
2.
Nick.
First rule of pod therapy is do not do what these guys have done. No, my wife and I led a Bible study together. So we led a Bible study together for 2 years.
Yeah, so
of
our mom
course.
was like for it.
Yeah, she's like,
Like, she saw
you
a
want to
picture
marry
of
the
her.
Bible study girl? You
Yeah,
do that.
I think it was like on MySpace.
It was MySpace. Yeah.
Our mom found a picture of his wife, like literally baking cookies.
Yeah.
like the most all-American.
But it was funny because
wholesome.
I was dating her,
And she was like,
and I
yeah.
hadn't told my parents yet. And my mom, out of nowhere, sent me an email. And she's like, "Hey, I found this girl on MySpace. She apparently she goes to your school, and she seems really nice." And I was like, "Oh yeah, like that's Janelle. Like, oh, by the way, I'm dating her." And she's like, "Oh, that's great." And I was like,
Yeah, I
"I
think
kind
she
of
was
want to
on
marry her." She's like,
speakerphone.
"Let's just do it."
Janelle was there,
Yeah.
like listening to the conversation.
Yeah. So there was a lot
Wow.
of religious undertones
Yeah.
that factored into all this a lot. But no, I didn't think she was the one. I feel like she was the right person for me, and I'm good with it. So,
Okay.
but like if we divorce tomorrow, there's another person that I could be compatible with and it would work out with. Nick, if you're still single, and if I'm single, and nothing's
Still
really happened
single.
by,
The
40,
stars align.
I feel like things could work. So if you're open-minded.
If you were the last person on Earth,
yes,
and most of the animals are gone, we can talk.
So you're saying there's a chance? Hey man,
right.
Trump's president. Don't rule it out.
Yeah, right.
Thanks for the question, Linda.
That's good. Manuela M on Twitter asks, how did the podcast affect your personal lives? Did it affect your professional lives in any way? And were there positive?
Manuela Muzakio.
Were those positive? Sorry.
How has it affected my personal life? I don't think it really has. I don't feel it has. I think my life is pretty much the same now as it always was. Only my relationship with my girlfriend is a lot more public.
That's true.
A little less privacy, but
yeah.
But we brought that on ourselves. So
it's true.
How has it affected me professionally? My current coworkers know that I have a podcast. They don't really know what it's about, and they've never listened to it.
Thank God. As long as they don't listen to it, it'll be okay.
Yes, I think this is something that I'm not ready for this to be out to all of my coworkers and supervisors until I know I could make a living doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I'd be comfortable.
Then you'd be okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. So for me, it affected my personal life because I have a very deep friendship with somebody that I see every single week, and he means a lot to me. And that would be Jacob, the audio guy.
Right. I know it wasn't
me. And then professional life, I don't think this is why we got canned. No, but it's been fun because actually I do have patients that listen to the show, and so that's been really, really meaningful because they really do know me. Like I'm not a different guy, in office versus on show. It's the same guy. I'm a little bit more maybe serious in office, but no, so that's been fun. So I don't think it's negatively affected me, not yet anyway. Knock on wood. Keep holding on there.
Thank you, Manu, for the question.
Yeah. So Ulrich?
Yeah.
Okay. On Twitter asks, what were you thinking?
That sounds like her.
That's her go-to.
That's her go-to. We weren't. That was easy. Next question.
All right. Bare Naked Scoopies on Twitter. Some research suggests that our personalities stay relatively consistent from childhood to adulthood, with minor variations here and there, bearing extreme external forces. Do you think your personalities have changed significantly from what they were? Do you like who you've become?
That's a deep question.
Yeah.
She's a psychology student. At ASU, I'll add. Yay, go Sun Devils. Yeah. I think my personality's changed over time. I don't think I was born with a certain personality. For me,
you weren't born an asshole.
Yeah, right? I had to earn that.
That was learned.
Yeah, I think
Took
my
a lot
life
of practice.
events fundamentally changed my personality. I was a different little kid than I am as an adult. I think moving a lot changed my personality, having to adapt to people like in order to fit into new cities and states. So yeah, I'd say mine changed. How about you?
What about in adulthood? Do you feel like it's changed much in adulthood?
Yeah, I think that your life experiences continue to change you. I don't think we can ever be the same person for very long. I think we're always changing.
I would agree. And I would say probably the same thing for me too. I think, I'm a different person now than I was 4 years ago even.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more outgoing. Like sort of life events happen and
I happened. Now that I'm in your life. You're a lot more outgoing.
Definitely is an event that happened. But you have to, we are the ancestors of, or we're the offspring of survivors,
progeny,
right? Yeah. So, I mean, our whole existence is all about adapting and surviving. So
yeah.
I would say for the most part, I'd say my personality is pretty similar. My sister has this thing that she always says when we meet new people and have to introduce ourselves. She always says that I got all the brains and she got all the personality.
Nice.
Which, honestly, I can't disagree with. I think that's probably accurate. She's much more outgoing than I am.
That's cool.
But yeah, doing this podcast, I think I've become a lot more outgoing.
Yeah.
Going through a really difficult divorce, I think I've become a lot more outgoing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say my personality's changed a bit.
I think our personalities change over time.
And
Great question.
Do you like who you've become, Nick?
Oh, I love who I've become.
Oh, okay.
Nobody else does. No. We voted. This is actually isn't even a podcast. This is an intervention. This whole year has been leading up to this moment. Yeah. Come on in, everybody. Great question, Bare Naked Scoopies. And that leads us to our newlywed game because we have enough time. We're going to keep plowing forward. on this element of questions being asked.
So we're going to have to be rapid fire.
We're going to do it. We got the newlywed game. We can do this thing.
Okay.
Dun-dun-dun. Oh,
beautiful.
Yeah. Hey, everybody from fabulous Las Vegas. This is the Newlywed Game starring your host, Madison, Jim's sister, Jobin. Just hi.
Hi, it's me.
Yeah. So the Newlywed Game rules are very clear. Nick and Jim have answered questions about themselves, and we have got to figure out if we know each other very well. Laura will keep score and tell us basically who wins. Laura, here's random papers. My gift for Nick is at the bottom of that, though, so don't write on that. And we will see which one of us scores better, Nick, to find out who knows the other one better.
Bring it.
Fire off the first question.
So same questions for both of you.
Yep,
You've
same
already
questions,
answered.
and we will see who knows the answers.
Okay.
And
Jim.
before you do that, though, Scott, do you have a pretty strict time at after if we need to go over? Is that okay? All right, let's plan on it. We got budget. We'll pay for it. We'll keep going.
Okay. Jim, what is Nick's biggest pet peeve?
Nick's biggest pet peeve is it's whenever I speak over him. It's whenever I interrupt him. When he's talking and I talk over him. And read his answer.
This is what his real answer is? Okay.
If it says Nick's answers at the top.
Yeah, I guess so.
What did he say?
Nick's answer is people who aren't aware of their surroundings.
Oh, come on!
Which could include you talking over him and not being aware of the surrounding where it's a shared
Laura's the ref.
floor.
Laura, do I get a point for that? Laura's shaking it off. No point.
Examples are leaving shopping carts in the center of an aisle, blocking everyone. Stopping in the middle of a walkway at the airport to get something out of their bag.
Okay.
Hates it.
I've had more homicidal thoughts this weekend Christmas shopping than I've ever had before in my life.
Christmas does that to all of us, though.
Yeah,
homicide's the first thing on everybody's mind.
Okay,
Maddie, whenever you're talking, always make sure that you're projecting into the mic. There you
That's
go.
a good point.
Yep.
So what's Jim's biggest pet peeve? I honestly have no idea. I don't know.
Gonna have a lot of those.
A
lot of I don't know. I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I really don't. I would say not knowing something.
Okay. Survey says. That's the other page. It's the Jim Answers page.
I don't have a Jim Answers page.
You do.
This is all Nick.
Oh, is my Jim Answers page in there? There you go. There's the Jim Answers.
Thank you. All right, let's see. Biggest pet peeve is pompous therapy wannabes.
Yeah.
Mark Manson, Dr. Phil.
Yeah. You know those guys drive me crazy. There's a whole book club episode of nothing but profanity.
Yeah, that. Now hearing that, it's like, well, duh. Yeah, of course.
Makes sense. All right, so it's 0-0.
All right. What is something you do that drives him bonkers, Jim?
Something I do that drives Nick bonkers.
Yes.
Speaking over him. It's going to be interrupting him when he's mid-thought or not letting him finish a sentence.
Oh, you know what? Okay, I didn't understand this question. But yes. Okay, read the answer.
He goes, like, pet peeves? Yes, see previous question.
Oh, damn it! I had the same answer twice. I was wrong on both.
Okay, no, but I will give you a point for that one.
I should get a point for that one. Because I don't leave grocery carts in front of you.
Yeah.
No, you know what else is something that you do that drives me bonkers?
Jesus, here we go.
Now we're
just doing it.
You do this thing where when you talk about therapists, you talk about, like when you say that we are therapists, you always say we're real life therapists.
What do I?
Yes.
Why does that annoy you? That's what we are.
Yes, I know, but real life therapists, like we're something like
mythical creatures.
Like we're Jedi or something. You know, it's like if I introduced you to like a friend of mine, like Jim, he's a real life plumber. Yeah, it's like it seems a little built up for what it really is.
What's really funny though is that is how I genuinely talk about everything.
Yeah, I know.
This is a real life cookie.
Yeah.
But I got a point for that. Survey says I get a point, so it's 1-0.
All right, so
I got this one. I know.
Well, what was your answer? It says, what do you think?
What do I
something
think?
you
what
do?
Do I think?
What do you
something
think?
that I do that bothers Jim?
Me.
Background sounds. Taking drinks out of stuff, setting stuff down.
His answer is eats during taping of Pod Therapy.
Yes! Got it! Give him a point. God, if he has any prop, he's going to make that mic hear it. It's going to be a freaking metal canteen. It's going to be chips. Like, he just can't do something easy. It's the dumbest thing. It's like, you have 23 hours a day to do this, and you pick the 1 hour that we're taping, and that's whenever you have to eat. Let's eat something crunchy, too. So, yes, give him a point. All right, it's 1-1. Right. Showdown continues.
Okay, so, Nick, if Jim could travel anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Pahrump. I don't say. I know you've been around the world. You've seen different countries.
I have, yeah.
But I don't picture you as being a traveler.
Okay.
I think I picture renting an RV and going to a national park.
Okay, that's actually not that crazy. All right, what was my answer?
Your answer is London, England.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing London, England. Right. I like Mumford & Sons. Okay. But you're not wrong with the other thing, though. I definitely would want to begin. But you are wrong for the purposes of this game. Don't give him a point. That was not what I answered. Okay, so same question.
If Nick could travel anywhere, where would it be, Jim?
Nick has traveled almost everywhere.
Really?
So, yeah, that's part of the problem, is that Nick has been to a lot of places, has a lot of pictures of them. He's kissed Blarney Stones and gone to, like, Hawaii and, like, gone to, like, Pearl Harbor. Dude's seen everything. He's been to the Caribbean. I think you've been through the Mediterranean. And so that actually helps me because I think you've been to Australia. He's been to so many places.
I've not been to Australia.
So that makes it a little bit easier because I think, okay, where's a place he's never been to that I think he would really like to go? Nick likes history. Nick likes, he likes it if it's a fun place, like weather-wise, but he really likes learning something when he's there. I could see Nick going to, like, China. I could see him really digging China. What was the answer?
Iceland.
Fuck.
But you're right. You're right, like with the history and stuff. Like I enjoy anything that had some kind of historical significance.
And I also consider Iceland part of China. So
judges say no.
Damn it.
All right. Next.
Okay, so Jim, if Nick planned a night out, where would you guys be going, or what would you be doing?
If Nick planned a romantic night out for us.
You added the romantic part. That's not in the question.
Oh, it's there. I feel that if Nick were planning a night out, we would probably go to a show. Well, Penn and Teller. He'd probably take us to Penn and Teller.
Cigar lounge, then drinks on the strip.
Yeah, he would.
To people watch.
He's into cigar lounges now because all of a sudden he's sophisticated. Because he likes their Wi-Fi.
I've read one Hemingway book, and now all of a sudden...
God, he's awful. You guys got a humidor. Cigar lounge. That actually sounds like fun, though. We should do that. Yeah. I would do that.
My answer for Jim, I would say karaoke.
He says a bar with beer pong and pool tables.
Yep.
I can see karaoke.
That fits too.
I feel like
actually, both these all sound like good ideas. I feel like we're putting together a good agenda.
Nick, what was Jim's first job?
I'm gonna say he was bussing tables at a restaurant.
Not a bad guess.
He actually worked for our parents at a pen store at the mall.
Yep.
Oh, really?
I sold pens.
Oh, I think I did know that.
Yeah, I was 16.
Okay.
All right, same question. What was Nick's first job? I think it was as a rental car clerk at Avis Rent-A-Car at the airport. No, wait, I want to change my answer.
Okay.
Because that was in college.
That was in
college. Iowa. They're born working. His very first job was as a grain, it's like some machinery about metal, and he was like working with the metal and like a grain elevator cleaner.
You're on the right track.
He was a handy guy who fixed or amended sheet metal, a metal fabricator for the grain of a farm.
Nick built grain bins.
Damn it, Laura!
Yeah.
Yes!
Someone finally got a point.
You got enough details.
Yeah. Who does?
Yeah.
God, I'm proud of that. Ooh, that was a good one.
Jim, what's Nick's idea of a perfect weekend?
A perfect weekend for Nick, I think he would want to go somewhere sunny, like the beach, with the dogs. A dog beach in Southern California.
Not quite.
Okay.
Golf? Hiking?
Damn it, of course it was golf.
A relaxing dinner and a movie.
Yeah, I should have said that. Damn it. I should have said golf. Damn it.
Nick?
He's going to have something cheesy, like spending time with family and children.
Yeah, he said staycation at South Point Pool.
I didn't mention the kids. How the hell are you getting
That's
credit
implied.
for that?
That's a point.
Yeah, give him a point.
It's so you to not want to go somewhere.
Oh, God.
I'll just stay.
I have
just
kids.
stay at home.
Vacations are not fun for me. That is work. Put me at the poolside bar, and I'm great.
All right, so 7th question. Here we go. Would he prefer, or Nick to Jim, would he prefer to live in the wilderness and hunt for food, live in the city and be a sophisticated elite?
City and sophisticated elite.
Be an upper crust elitist prick. Yes.
That was my answer. Nick, on the other hand, I think that he fantasizes about being the last man standing in a post-apocalyptic universe. And so I could see Nick being basically a wilderness man and trying to live off the land and kill things and the whole business.
No.
What?
He said city and be a sophisticated elite.
You know, that's recent.
Oh, so I'm the one that's wrong. Okay.
I feel like we should change that answer. I feel like Laura domesticated you. Before this, you were a wild man. A flannel-wearing wild man.
No. If I won the lottery, I would not go out to a
forest.
cabin someplace. I'd definitely
looks like
live
we're
it
both
up in the
equally
city.
screwed in the zombie apocalypse
Yep.
that is to come. We will not make it.
This next question has some pressure attached to it.
Okay.
Nick, which one of Jim's relatives does he like the most?
Ooh.
Answer carefully. I guess you already answered, so
you can see my answer.
great.
So I think my first instinct is to say his son because they share the name, but I think it's his daughter. I think he loves his daughter more than his son.
Oh, it's deep.
Let's hope we destroy these tapes.
I'm gonna
Go for it.
No. I'm gonna say Maddie.
Aw.
Oh,
Unfortunately not.
not even a little. No.
He said, my mom, who is a therapod, also acceptable as my children, not my wife. She doesn't sponsor the show.
Yep. Hi, Mom.
I'm not even mentioned.
Nope.
I'm not even
Sponsor
in this
the
at all.
show. Maybe if you were a therapod, Mom, she supports the show. Thank you, Mom. So Nick's favorite family member. I will actually go with his sister on this one. I think it's Carrie, your sister.
Good job. It is his sister.
Yeah, give me a point. Yep. Yes, I knew it.
Yeah,
I'm doing great.
that's such a weird question.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're at 2-1 right now, right?
Oh my God, I'm
Here we
killing
go.
it.
Jim, what's Nick's favorite hobby?
Golf.
Yep.
Yes, give it to me.
Well
you have
done.
no clue what mine is. You don't know how many people I've killed.
Nick.
The clue.
I'm gonna say talking about himself in front of the mirror.
Wow.
Well, he's actually right.
If he was honest with these
Did you read
answers.
the answers?
He says video games, Rocket League
I like
specifically.
video games.
Oh, really?
But man, I feel like he should get credit for that.
No credit. Just
I'm a
because
little
he's
bitter about
partially
the
right.
relative question.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Well, sponsor the show. It's a buck.
All right, Jim. What is Nick's most valuable material possession?
His guitar, specifically with, I don't know which one it is. It's going to be a guitar, which I feel like I should get credit for. I would say it's the Stratocaster, since he mentioned selling it once in a panic. So I assume that one's pretty valuable.
Damn. Yeah.
Oh, what did he write?
Yeah, he said his 2008 Fender Stratocaster American Deluxe.
I am so good at this game. I knew I was going to be good at it. I knew it.
That's impressive.
I'm destroying this.
All right, Nick, what's Jim's most valuable possession?
Oh, shit.
I don't know.
You have no clue.
A photo album.
He says his wedding ring, also acceptable, is the Trump P tape.
I have it.
That's where it is.
I have it. It's me. Swing and a miss, Tangeman. Oh, God, this is so validating.
Next
I don't even
question.
care if we air this. I'm just enjoying it.
Here we go. It's movie night. Does he pick an award-winning film or a raunchy comedy, Nick?
Raunchy comedy.
He says award-winning.
I did. I
Nope.
said award-winning
Nope.
film.
I done messed up.
Yep. We'll discount that whole question, but I knew yours was going to be award-winning film.
Really? I would
Yeah.
pick the other one.
No, he didn't used to be. This is something you've influenced him on.
Actually,
yeah,
Jim's right.
I'm right. Yeah, I'm absolutely right.
No, I think I knew that answer too. I listened to an episode where you talked about how Nick went out and
he went to the
watched
Oscar.
a whole bunch of
a
movies
bunch of Oscar films with Laura
to
before
prepare
the Oscars.
for it. Yeah,
and like he was like, God, I really enjoyed it.
That
like,
one was a giveaway.
If it wasn't for Laura, I've never watched this kind of stuff. But man, it's like really good. And like he was telling me about Lady Bird and all this stuff. And I was like, wow. So that's the only reason I know that answer is because I know Laura changed him. Otherwise, he wouldn't even go out. He wouldn't watch movies. I don't know. He'd watch infomercials.
Okay.
So that one doesn't count for either.
We'll skip it. Here we go. This one's better anyway. Jim, what's the one thing you two will never agree on?
That Nick and I will never agree on?
Mm-hmm. According to Nick.
The one thing... Oh, religion.
Yes, the existence of God.
Yes! I got it!
Son of a bitch.
Nick, what's the one thing you two will never agree on? According to Jim.
Oh, God. It's got to be something with the podcast. That'd be my guess. The A segment of the podcast.
He gave 3 acceptable answers. The first is religion. The second, also acceptable, is the Pod Therapy theme song.
Shit.
Also energy drinks.
Oh.
Yeah, and I gave you 3 chances and you blew it.
Blew it.
Yeah. Blew it.
They all make sense
close,
after
though,
the
man.
fact.
I was wincing there for a second. You were getting the right tree there with the podcast. Good idea.
Yeah.
Nick, if Jim were in a different job, what would it be?
Well,
you know what? He already answered this, and I already forgot. So
this is why you're losing.
All right,
there.
next
We'll
question.
skip that question.
Okay. So 14. What is a bad habit of yours he wishes you would stop doing, Nick?
A bad habit. Okay.
So what is a bad habit that I have?
Yes, that he wishes you would stop.
This kind of goes back to the second question. I would think.
Yeah, it does.
Is it the same answers?
Yeah, you guys have the same answer.
Okay, we'll skip that one.
No.
Oh, it's
you
not?
both put the same thing.
Oh, shit.
Really?
Yeah.
We both said we have
Interrupting
the
me?
same bad habit that we wish the other guy would stop
I said
doing.
interrupting me.
Yeah, you both put interrupting me.
What? Thank you, Laura.
Oh, maybe. I think, you know what's funny? I think you both misread the question. Because he says interrupting him, and you say interrupting me.
I interpret it as, what's a bad habit I have that you wish I would stop doing?
No, I did it the other way around.
Yeah, so no points. No points for that one.
Or we both get 1 point.
Which is the
I
equivalent.
think we should. I think we should each get. Yeah, but it's
It cancels out either way.
Give Nick a point.
It's meaningful.
All right, I'll give Nick.
What? Both of us a point.
Fine.
Okay,
Start
so Jim.
handicapping Nick. He's going to lose.
Jim, Nick's picking your lunch place. Where does he want to go?
Where does Nick want to go if
Yes.
he's picking lunch? Nick wants to go... Nick gets to pick. I'm going to go with sushi.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
I got it right?
Mhm.
Yeah!
And I'm going to say sushi as well.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Good job,
High
guys.
fives! Can't even
You're
reach
knowing
you.
each other.
Here's high five!
All right. Nick, when's Jim's birthday? What month?
We
Easy.
just had it. So I'm going to say December.
Yeah. The first. You were so close.
Fucking there! How do you not know this?
You're giving him a lot of shit, but do you know his birthday?
Yeah, do you?
It is in April.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah,
Oh,
suck
okay.
it. Suck it. I know everything. Oh,
All right.
and I wasn't invited, by the way. He went off on a romantic weekend with Laura, and I was not even asked
Notified?
if I wanted to come.
You're right. That was wrong of me. I
That was
apologize.
very selfish of you.
All right, Jim. What's Nick's favorite ice cream flavor?
Nick's favorite ice cream flavor is... Nick, you probably like... I'm going to go with like mint chocolate chip.
Ooh.
Did I get it?
No.
No,
Not
but that's
quite.
my second.
Oh, shit!
That's my second, too. This is my first. Chocolate chip cookie dough.
Oh, that's a good choice. All right, let's see if you can get mine.
I would describe you as a vanilla. I'm going to say vanilla. Final
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's vanilla. His exact quote was vanilla, but I'm open to butt stuff.
I'm really glad you said vanilla. That worked out so perfect.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right, Nick, if he were describing you as one of the 7 dwarves, which one would he call you?
If he were describing me as one of the 7 dwarfs.
Yep.
I don't know the 7 dwarfs. I'm gonna say Dopey. Is that one?
It is one of them, but that's not the one.
Which one did I pick?
He says, I'd call Nick bashful or Snow White if I thought he could get away with it.
Yes.
Milky white skin.
Milky white skin. So which dwarf would I think you'd call me? You don't even remember any of the damn dwarves. You can't do this. I think I'm just going to get a point on this one. Oh, wait, so I have to guess this. I have to guess which one I think Nick would describe me as.
Mm-hmm. You're halfway there, too.
I don't get that hint.
No, you're not supposed to.
Okay.
You wouldn't.
No, it's not gonna be sleepy. Sleepy, happy, Doc, bashful, sneezy. I'm gonna go with happy.
Dipshit. I don't watch Disney.
Damn it!
So I don't know the characters. But that one seems to fit.
Laura, you're gonna let him get away with that? Well, I'm glad you didn't get a point on that one. That would have sucked. That was really close.
But you were halfway there with saying, like, I don't think he knows any of the characters.
Yeah, I see now.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm following the logic.
What state was Nick born in?
Oh, Iowa.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
What state was I born in?
Texas.
North Carolina.
Maddie was born in Texas.
That's what I meant.
Our parents traveled a lot.
Give me a point, Laura.
Yes, I got it.
Yeah, ding. Hell in this.
Who was the first president that Jim voted for?
Okay, so Jim is younger than I am. So he would have been 18.
I'll give you a huge hint. I am the same age as Laura.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it would have been the George W. Bush v.
Unless Laura's been lying about her age. How young does he think
we
are?
No, wait.
Don't you help him, damn it. This is bullcrap.
I haven't said anything.
You're doing hand signals.
No, because it wasn't Bush Gore. I think it was Obama. No, it would have been Bush and Kerry. It'd have been Bush and Kerry.
I wish we were young enough to have done our first election in the Obama era. That'd have been pretty cool.
Bush, Kerry. I'm going to say you voted. Do I have to say who you voted for?
Yes. Mm-hmm. You got to name the candidate.
George W. Bush.
He did.
I did. I'm so sorry.
Liberty
the
University.
Deciding vote, guys. I was not the deciding vote.
You have to do your job as an 18-year-old.
All right, so Nick's first one. Let's see. Nick's slightly older than me. So probably Nixon, I guess, would probably be his 18-year-old vote. I'd say maybe Eisenhower. All right, so Nick he was born in 79. So if he was born in 79, then 88. So he's probably got to go Bush versus like Dukakis. And at that point, is he like a self-aware liberal yet? Or is he still like an Iowa conservative? Bush won in such a landslide. Or he could have voted for Ross Perot and made like a thing out of it. I'm going with Dukakis.
Okay, well, my answer to that, fuck you. I'm not that old. I was born in 81.
Oh, I thought you were born in 79.
No.
You made a big thing out of how you're not a millennial. Then you are, by definition, a millennial.
No, I'm pretty sure millennial starts in 83.
It starts at 80.
I don't know. I disagree.
It starts at 80.
Anyway, go ahead.
Al Gore.
Al Gore.
Yeah.
So wait, your first election was Gore versus Bush.
Yes.
Okay. Oh. In fairness, had you not lied
Bush
about the millennial
Dukakis,
thing?
that was like I was in 5th grade.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, you went real far with that.
I was told there would be no
You're
math.
way off.
All right, I was told there would be no math.
What's Nick's favorite season?
Nick likes summer.
He likes spring.
Of course you do.
I'm going to say fall.
Winter, mostly because Vegas winter feels like other people's spring.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Nick, without looking, what jewelry is he wearing right now?
Close your eyes. What jewelry am I wearing?
Does a watch count?
Wait. Cover your, because it's going to ask the question.
Yeah. I'm not looking at him either. Sorry, I didn't look at him. I'm looking up. I'm looking at Scott. Scott's keeping me accountable with eye contact here.
Okay. I'm going to say a watch and a wedding band. That's it.
Is he right?
He's right. Ding,
ding. Good job.
Besides the Prince Albert I have, but other than that,
okay,
that's the name of it. I couldn't remember the name of it.
Yeah. All right, so Nick's jewelry. Nick is probably wearing a watch. He's probably got some kind of hipster leather band on, maybe with beads attached. I'm going to go with those two things. I don't think he wears necklaces because they'll get stuck in his chest hair. So
I manscaped, so it's not an issue.
I've been keeping it trim. I'm going to go with visibly watch and leather strappy thing, and maybe non-visibly toe ring. But let's just go with the two wrists. So I'll say watch and leather bandy thing. What do I got?
It's not leather. It's not leather.
Do you get credit for that?
Laura, what do you think?
I'll give you a half.
Half point.
All right, last question. Jim, how does Nick take his coffee?
Like his women. I don't know. Laura. He takes his coffee. I'll tell you right now. Nick takes his coffee with freaking chocolate in it if he can get it. Like, he will only order mochas. So it would probably be light and sweet. So I'd say lots of cream and sugar and chocolate if he can get it.
He says that depends. If fasting, black. If not fasting, 4 sugar, 2 cream.
Yeah. Okay. Laura?
I'll give him a point. I do take it. If I'm not, assuming I'm not fasting, I take it really sweet. I've never seen
him order anything at Starbucks that is not literally chocolate, like with a sprinkle of caffeine. Like, they're like, what can I get you, sir? It's like Toblerone. Like, what? Put a straw in it.
All right, Nick.
What do I order?
4 stevia, 3 cream.
Holy crap. He's going for like the recipe on this.
He says like his women.
That was my answer.
That's it?
It just says like my
women.
No,
I get a point. I'll give it.
He's actually
a point.
Dang,
that was very specific. Good for you. And he threw out the stevia too, which is correct.
Well, you were my boss, so I know what
never
coffee I need to get.
once bought me a coffee. That never happened. I bought you coffee,
but I knew what it was.
I knew what it was in case I needed to know. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So the end of the show, and how did we do, Laura? Nick had 9.5 points. My God, that sounds like a lot of points. What a good job you did, Nick.
Jim got 11.5.
Jim got 11.5 points. Well, in this episode of the Newlywed Game, clearly I'm the better newlywed. In our first year of partnership, Nick, you have a lot to go.
Yeah, because I don't listen.
That does help. So we have moved on to the end of the show where we are doing our special Christmas gift exchange. And so I've got my gift. This will make
for good podcasting.
This is going to make for good podcasting. So, Nick, I see that you have a gift there. Would you like me to open that?
Sure.
All right. So, okay. You can hear it. It's pretty hollow. It's about the size of like a coffee mug box, which makes me wonder, is it a coffee mug? It is a box of tissues. Wait, inside of this box of tissues, which is quite oh, you piece of crap. I am so viscerally angry about this. It is a University of Nevada decal for my car. Oh, God. Oh, it hurts. And a Wolfpack University of Nevada beer cozy. Oh. And God. And the UNR keychain. Oh, you. Oh, that's awful. Oh, okay. Well, Nick, I got you the gift that keeps on giving.
Syphilis.
You guessed it. Also, you should get checked. I got you a 1-year subscription to everybody's favorite in-print magazine,
Midwest Living.
Yes. And you'll see that there's a nice description there if you'd like to read that for the listeners.
Oh, God. Okay. The Midwest premier lifestyle magazine, Midwest Living. Midwest Living magazine is a woman's lifestyle cooking and home magazine that features recipe ideas, home improvement, and decorating, gardening, and landscaping Midwest travel, holiday and party entertaining, storage and organizing, holiday decorating, and so much more that women love.
Yes.
If you're not already an expert home cook, learn how to make recipes as simple as kid snacks all the way to Thanksgiving dinner recipes that you can put on the table with pride. Read travel plan ideas to find little known treasure right at home in the Midwest for your next weekend getaway.
Yep.
Get a Midwest Living magazine subscription for women from magazine. Oh, magazine.
This is how poorly it is written.
I'm sorry.
By the way.
Yeah, magazine.store now and receive special discount offers. Midwest Living has a place for the coffee table in every Midwestern home. Subscribe for yourself or give a gift, as Jim did, to a woman in your life who has a knack for living well in the Midwest. Thank you so much.
You as a Midwestern debutante.
This is why you wanted my address.
Yes. And
Son
even
of
when
a
you
bitch.
move, it will follow you.
I'll bet it will.
Sure.
I'll bet it will.
Finds its way. So, in season 2, perhaps you will allow us to hear updates on what you've been learning from
I'll provide updates.
Midwest Magazine. So thank you, Nick. Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
These absolutely blasphemous. Oh, God. I don't even know what I'm going to do with this. I'm not going to throw it away. I'm not that guy. I'll probably keep them for a while. But I don't know what I'm going to do.
Regift.
Yeah. God, yeah, I need to start thinking about who I know that goes to UNR. But no, I don't want you to regift your magazine. So I will suffer with these because I want you to get that damn magazine.
All right. Fair enough.
So our gift exchange is in the bag. Coming to the end of the show of the season finale, Nick. So we actually have a bunch of new reviews that have been showing up on iTunes and Facebook, but because this is a finale, we didn't want to bring that into the show. So everybody that's out there, if you would like your review read live on air, there is still time to do that. Drop one off at Facebook or on iTunes or wherever you're hearing the show, and we'll make sure to be reading those reviews in the very next episode.
Yeah, and we want to give a special thank you to all of our Patreons. Thank you so much for everything you do. We want to thank all of our Patreons who have joined us for our first year. Our mission is to make Pod Therapy an accessible, easy introduction to meeting with a therapist so that people who could benefit from mental health care will find it and use it. Your support has made that mission possible.
Absolutely. And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited, which, by the way, there is a ton of bonus content that ended up on this episode, including a pee break on Nick's part where I got to interview Laura for a while about all of her escapades in life. Outside of Nick's hearing, you should definitely tune in at patreon.com/therapy and join the party. That's all the time that we've got for this week's session. We want to thank Level 9 Studios, Matt and Mattingly's Ice Cream Social, Nick's Blanket Fort, Jim's Sex Dungeon, and multiple offices for hosting us this year. We also want to thank all the people who wrote into the show in Season 1 and invited us into their lives. If you're a supporter of mental health and want to be a supporter of the show, join us at www.patreon.com/therapy and become a THERAPAL or THERAPOD so we can launch new projects in Season 2.
And if you have any questions for us that you'd like to answer on the show, send us an email at podtherapyguys@gmail.com or submit them anonymously at www.podtherapy.net. Until next time, I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Bubba Jobin.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.